So John, why do you like Santa Fe?
Well, I really like Santa Fe because it's so close. It's a quick getaway, and it's a really pretty city. I really like it.
So where did you learn about windsurfing?
A New Mexican windsurfer, huh? I think we found our false response. Thanks, John. Okay, who's next?
Humor can be very helpful in breaking the ice. If you see an opportunity to inject some humor into the discussion, do it. But be careful not to say anything that would embarrass anyone. The goal of Section 2 is to provide a non-threatening opportunity for all of the guys to feel comfortable participating in a discussion. The third section deals with interpersonal issues. The objectives are to discuss challenges in meeting other guys and to bring the group to a more personal and self-disclosing level. In this section, watch how Stephen and Chris work together to set the stage for a lively discussion and give lots of praise to the people who do speak up.
You know, it's interesting. I hear from friends all the time that tell me that how difficult it is to meet other guys and to start relationships or just to interact, and especially for young gay and bisexual men here. And one of the purposes of this meeting tonight is to give us an opportunity to sort of talk about that. So would anyone like to share their personal experiences and the difficulties that we face in trying to meet other guys?
Guys is in bars, and that's not really a good place to have a social conversation with them or to talk, because it's really dark and smoky and you really can't, you know, get a feel for the person.
I really agree with that.
Yeah, I think it's hard to meet guys in bars too, because you're afraid to approach guys because they might have attitude, yet there's a lot of standoffish guys, so it's kind of like a catch-22.
It might be helpful if we take a specific situation and present it to the group and see how we might handle it. Let's say we've been at the club for about half an hour, and you notice this really hot-looking guy, and you've been looking at him, and he's been looking at you, and you notice that there's definitely a mutual attraction. What would you do?
Well, if I thought a guy was really cute and I was interested, I'd probably just walk up and ask him to dance.
To keep discussions going, it's often helpful to ask follow-up questions. A good follow-up question to ask in this section might be, how would you like someone to approach you? After the discussion has gone on for a few minutes, it's time to ease the group into their first role play.
Great. It might be helpful if we acted out in front of the group. Would you like to do that?
Sure, I'll do that.
Would anybody like to act this out with Eric?
Notice how Stephen and Chris never actually use the word role play, since it may be intimidating to some of the participants. It works better to introduce the role plays by saying things like, "Shh, in this situation," or "Can we get some volunteers to act this out?"
Hi,
Hi.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you also.
So are you from here?
I'm originally from El Paso.
How long have you been in Albuquerque?
Only about 10 months.
Well, how do you like it?
It's okay so far. I'm glad you came over and introduced yourself to me.
Well, cool, I'm glad I came over too. You want to dance?
Sure.
Okay, let's go.
Great job, you two.
Watch how the facilitator transitions from the role play into discussion.
How they acted it out.
I thought it was great. It looked really easy.
What did you like most about his approach?
Well, he was really nice and friendly, and he didn't have any attitude.
Yeah, that's really true. I liked it as well. How would the rest of you have responded to his approach?
Well, I thought it was really cool, but it's not very realistic for, you know, this world. A lot of us are like, you know, I'm scared of being rejected, so.
You know, that is a problem that we face, and that's one of the reasons.
The discussions in this section should focus on the difficulties in meeting and getting to know someone. Sometimes participants misinterpret the scenarios as simply picking someone up for sex. That's relatively easy for some men. It's forming relationships that many of us have trouble with. Try to guide the discussion so that it addresses more basic interpersonal issues, such as fear of rejection and lack of social opportunities for young gay men.
Maybe we can do another situation now. Can I get 2 more volunteers?
I'll do it.
Joseph, great, thank you. John? Thank you. So here's the situation. John, you first met Joseph at a party, and since then you've been running into him all over. You've been seeing him at the club, in coffee houses, at the mall, And you always talk briefly with him when you see him, and it seems like the two of you would get along. You're very attracted to him, and you would like to get to know him better. So you've just run into him now. How would you ask him out on a date?
Hey, what's going on?
Nothing, just hanging around.
Really? What? We've been running into each other all the time lately.
Yeah, we sure have. I'm glad that we connected.
Section 3 ends after you finish this last role play and have taken some time to discuss it. Make sure to thank everyone for their participation in the role plays and the discussion. Section 4 presents the Safer Sex Guidelines. The goal of this section is to provide basic information on safer sex and clear up any misconceptions participants may have about what's safe and what isn't. Section 4 is the first time in the group that we talk explicitly about sex. Research shows that most young gay and bisexual men know the basics about unsafe and safer sex already. So in this section, we just try to clear up misunderstandings and clarify the finer points. It's very important that facilitators come across as being completely comfortable discussing sexual issues. Demonstrate by your example how to talk about sex naturally, positively, and non-judgmentally, and show confidence that the guidelines are up to date and based on the latest scientific knowledge.
So far up till now, we've been talking about meeting guys and getting to know them, and that pretty naturally leads us into the next topic, which is sex. And I'm hoping that we can spend a little time now getting to talk about that, finding out if anyone has any questions or concerns about safer sex and what that is. And we've come up with a list of safer sex guidelines that we'd like to offer to the group to get your input and to find out if anyone has any particular questions or concerns about them. So Chris is going to hand those out, and we're going to read them, and I'm going to ask if anyone has any questions or comments. And the first guideline we'd like to offer is always use condoms for anal and vaginal sex. Are there any questions or comments?
Give the group a chance to absorb each guideline and think about it. If no one says anything after a while, the other facilitator can break the ice.
What about if you're on top? Is that safe?
You know, that's a question we get asked a lot. The risk of HIV infection is greater if you're on the bottom, but people have gotten HIV while on the top. So it's really important to wear a condom whether you're being fucked or doing the fucking.
Hopefully, once the ice is broken, other participants will join in the discussion.
This with some of my friends. What if you pull out before you come?
The risk of transmission of HIV still exists because of the pre-cum. So it's really important that you continue to wear condoms while fucking.
Okay, the second guideline is to make sure you use latex condoms and water-based lubricants. For example, Astroglide, KY, Wet, Probe, not Vaseline, baby oil, hand lotion, or sunscreen. Does anybody have any questions about that?
Why can't you use oil-based lubes?
Because oil can break down the latex, and if you use an oil-based lube when you're fucking, you run the risk of breaking down the condom.
Next one we'd like to offer up is for oral sex, stop before orgasm. So you want to keep your cum out of his mouth and his cum out of yours. Are there any questions or comments about this?
Sometimes during this discussion, participants will make incorrect statements. It's up to the facilitators to clear up these misconceptions in a positive but assertive manner.
But what if I just spit it out? Would that be unsafe?
You know, that's really not okay. And the reason is that HIV with oral sex is transmitted by the mouth, not within the stomach. So it's really important that you keep cum out of your mouth completely.